Greetings, Baltimore. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the All-Merciful, the Bestower of mercy. As we offer prayer for the city of Baltimore today and this evening, we want to recognize that all of us are spiritual beings that happen to be having a physical experience. And we are all souls. And in our all having souls, we recognize our commonality between one another, as Allah the Glorious has stated in His mighty book, the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu. O humanity, certainly we have created you all as male and female, and we have made you all of differing backgrounds and nationalities and ethnicities so that you can all get to know one another and cooperate with one another. And with this understanding, we supplicate this evening and we pray and we recognize that there are people that are in need in the city. There are people that need us and people that need our service. So we ask our Lord that He makes us of those who preserve life, that He makes us of those who preserve sound mind, that He makes us of those that preserve our lineage, and that He makes us of those who preserve wealth and property, and that He makes us of those who preserve faith, and that we do all of this together as our Lord has ordered us. And He states, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold on to the rope of God, all of you together, and do not be divided. We ask, O Lord, that He grants us success in all of these endeavors. Ameen. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Comptroller, esteemed members of the City Council, our State Attorney, faithful clergy, and of course the great residents of Baltimore City. I am proud to deliver this State of the City address as your 52nd mayor, neighbor, and most importantly, as a fellow Baltimorean. Before I begin, I want to thank Governor Moore, Comptroller Learman, and Attorney General Brown for being true partners in the work to move Baltimore forward. Like Governor Moore always says, there can be no thriving Maryland without a healthy Baltimore. It is my greatest honor to serve this city, our city, from a Rec and Parks employee to City Council President, and now I stand before you as your mayor. My life is a shining example that you can make it from Park Heights to City Hall with a little grit and a lot of love. That is why I'm so proud to be a son of Baltimore. From hooping at Tawanda, eating snowballs on hot summer days, and eating crab cakes at Coco's, to watching the world descend upon Park Heights for Preakness, Baltimore really is the best city in the world. I moved my State of the City address out of City Hall and into the community because it's neighborhoods like Cherry Hill that put the charm in Charm City. They deserve meaningful investments. This $23 million Middle Branch Fitness and Wellness Center is a concrete example of the type of investments that we are making in communities across Baltimore. Investments, Mr. President, that uplift our residents and pave a new way forward for our city. So much has happened over the past 2 years. We will be reminded that I took height of office of the global pandemic that shuttered many of our favorite local businesses, caused thousands of our neighbors, friends, and relatives to lose their jobs, shut down our schools, and isolated our young people from their teachers and friends. Quite frankly, we didn't know what was going to happen. That pandemic shook our city and our world to its core. But Baltimore, we don't back down from a challenge. You elected a son of Park Heights to be your mayor to fight for our city when we were fighting for our lives. And through steadfast and consistent leadership at the helm, we met challenges head on, weathered the biggest public health crisis in modern history, and set our sights on a brighter horizon. My track coaches at Mervo, Coach Hendricks and Neal, taught us that winning is a mindset. It demands much more than physical ability. It takes discipline, tenacity, and mental fortitude to overcome every barrier put in your way. But we were also taught something else very important, that your relay was only as good as your weakest leg. You had to bring everyone along with you, or you were not truly winning. Baltimore, we can win by doing this together. Collectively, we have done so much in this short period of time. We drove down unemployment from 12.6% in 2020 to 4% in 2023. In 2021, we saw a 16.9% growth income in our tax base. New small businesses like Urban Oyster, Ecubon, and Crust by Mac are expanding and opening across our city. Hotel occupancy is close to pre-pandemic levels, and current projections indicate that the average nightly demand will hit 90% this fiscal year. This growth will bring hotel tax revenues up to 5.8% higher than pre-pandemic levels. We've taken more guns off the street than we have in over a decade, and we reduced vacant properties in Baltimore to a 10-year low. Baltimore is back, but let's not make any mistakes. We will not go back to the systems and practices that have historically failed our residents. These same practices failed our young people, destroyed families through mass incarceration, and left what used to be vibrant neighborhoods in disrepair. Our comeback is and will continue to be grounded in justice and equity. This progress is because of true Baltimoreans like Officer Kiana Holly, who dedicated her life to serving her community. Let us hold up her memory as an example of what it means to be a public servant and continue to move forward in her honor. To do anything less than our best will be a disservice to our legacy and to the dedication of the women and men across our city every day working to make Baltimore safer. Officer Holly's daughter, Kajana, who is with us this evening, has been inspired by her mother's service. And I'm pleased to let you know that she has joined the BPD as a call center agent for our telephone reporting unit to continue her mother's legacy of service. Let's give her a round of applause. Baltimore, the state of our city is strong. Together, with the help and partnership from so many of you in this room, we have continued elevating our communities and realizing the potential of a better, brighter Baltimore. And while we've come so far together, there is still so much work that remains. Baltimore, you have my word that we will keep moving forward and building on the ground that we have worked so hard to gain. We are making consistent strides every day to build a safer Baltimore. Just last year in 2022, the brave women and men of BPD recovered over 2,600 illegal guns on the streets of Baltimore, 485 of them that were ghost guns, more than any other year in a decade. And already this year, we have seized 515. Even in the face of challenges, we were able to gain ground to restore public trust and make progress to ensure that we meet the demands of our federal consent decree. To get to the root of the problem, we're not only going after those using illegal firearms to inflict harm, but let me be clear that we are going after you. We're also holding straw purchasers, gun traffickers, and gun manufacturers responsible for the proliferation of these weapons on our streets. We're suing the nation's largest ghost gun manufacturer, Polymer 80, for circumventing gun laws and intentionally putting these tools of death and destruction in the hands of young people and known violent offenders. We're also working with our state and federal law enforcement partners to break up gun trafficking and violent drug rings across Baltimore. We cannot afford to stand idly by while the growing presence of these illegal firearms threaten the safety of our communities. Tonight, I am calling for real, meaningful gun reform in Congress that bans ghost guns in this country, removes these weapons from our streets, and allows for enhanced cross-jurisdictional enforcement. Because we have to address violence at every level. But for far too long, the argument has been that we either arrest our way out of it and drive mass incarceration or drive investment into our communities. Baltimoreans elected me because we were approaching public safety in a way that was not producing results. As someone who has lost guns, friends to gun violence, and led the 300-Man March movement, I reject this as a false choice. As your mayor, I have chosen to both invest in law enforcement and in our communities. And newsflash, it's working. When I launched Baltimore's Comprehensive Violence Prevention Plan, I promised to reduce homicides and non-fatal shootings by 15%. Make no mistake about it, this is my top priority. And thanks to 2 years of hard work and the tireless efforts of our police officers, violence interrupters, public safety partners, and the community, homicides and non-fatal shootings are down 16 and 21% respectively today. Let me be clear. Police serve a purpose and a function in the reduction of crime. But I've said before and I'll say it again. The full weight of public safety cannot and should not fall only on their shoulders. Our success has come from emphasizing prevention, intervention, and reentry alongside traditional law enforcement. Last year, our group violence reduction strategy pilot, in partnership with the state's attorney and our police commissioner, in the Western District, our most violent district, produced a 34% decrease in homicides and non-fatal shooting by focusing in on the residents most at risk for being involved in gun violence and giving them the choice to take assistance to step away from the life or face the consequences if they did not. Following our expansion into the Southwestern in January, we've seen a 39% reduction in homicides and non-fatal shootings there. We established a 911 diversion program, a leading model for cities across the country, diverting 874 incidents since launch. Because of that work, we're now expanding that program to more call types, including calls that involve young people experiencing behavioral health crises. We're investing in improving intervention efforts through Safe Streets to mediate conflicts and stop them from escalating to violence. As a matter of fact, an external evaluation from Hopkins demonstrated the impact that sites like Safe Streets right here in Cherry Hill has on reducing homicides and non-fatal shootings by 22 and 23% on average. And so far, our violence interrupters, who you can see in the back, have mediated over 512 potentially violent conflicts. We launched our Returning Citizens Behind the Wall program, designed to connect Baltimoreans who are re-entering into society with meaningful employment. Baltimoreans like Ms. Gwen Levi, who is with us this evening, who made national news when at 76 years young, she was forced back to prison, almost forced back to prison, for violating parole after she missed a phone call from a parole officer. But I'm proud to say tonight that we were able to connect her with employment at the Enoch Pre-Frat Library, but we know that too many of our neighbors share this experience. We owe Ms. Gwen a big round of applause tonight. Thank you, Ms. Gwen, for continuing the fight. And we're also excited to announce tonight hospital-based violence intervention partnerships with the University of Maryland Medical System, LifeBridge Health, MedStar Health, Ascension St. Agnes, and Johns Hopkins to address trauma for victims and violence and prevent retaliation. But also with redistricting and local control, which I have personally fought for over a decade in the pipeline, and the planned expansion of GVRS into the Central, Eastern, and Southern districts by the end of the year, we are prioritizing the safety of all Baltimoreans, regardless of zip code. My administration, through Director Jackson and Commissioner Harrison, has proven that you can invest in prevention and intervention while also holding those who choose to engage in violence accountable. This is not an either or, but a both and. And I want to be very clear that despite the progress that we've seen, like jurisdictions across the country, we've also experienced a heartbreaking uptick in young people losing their lives to violence in our city. Any life that is lost is one too many. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge and hold space for the families of everyone, especially our young people who have been touched by the disease of gun violence in our communities. Losing young people to violence should be unacceptable to everyone who lives, works, or visits our city. But as someone who has poured their heart and soul into making sure our young people have the opportunity to thrive and grow into their best selves, I promise you that we are leaving nothing on the table when it comes to safeguarding the lives of our children. Frederick Douglass said it well, and we all know it to be true. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Our young people are the pride and joy of our city. When you see them, you see me. Every day, they defy the odds and silence the naysayers by winning. Winning like Angel Reese, who knows what it means to be young and from Baltimore. She knows what it feels like to have the world bet against you. But you can't stop a winner from winning, especially if that winner's from Baltimore. And I want everyone in this room, everyone watching clips of this speech on the evening news, every media outlet, every local blog, every Instagrammer to hear me loud and clear when I say this. Baltimore's young people will win. We just have to invest in them, nurture them, love them, and yes, we must hold them accountable. As we head toward the summer months, my team will roll out a comprehensive summer youth engagement strategy that will include extended hours at rec centers, midnight basketball if Councilman Burnett wants to get 3 shot on them again, summer pool parties, and summer camps. We're bringing back our Be More Lit teen series, putting 7,000 young people to work through YouthWorks, and yes, we will be enforcing curfew. However, our approach to curfew enforcement will limit youth interaction with police and divert youth from unnecessary system engagement. What we are building through our youth engagement centers will be a model for how to connect young people in need of services and support during the summer months with positive, welcoming environments. But we can't do it alone. It takes a village to build the strong children that Frederick Douglass talked about. So, tonight I'm calling on the village to help us. I'm calling on the grassroots, nonprofits, faith leaders across Baltimore, Lottie Dottie, and everybody to help us at our Youth Connection Centers. Similar to the approach that we took with the Squeegee Collaborative, where we successfully reduced squeegee-related calls by 73% by balancing opportunity with fair consequences. Yeah, remember squeegees? No one asks us about that anymore. '. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . And to lead this work, Dr. Jaraza will soon join my team as interim deputy mayor for Equity, Health, and Human Services, where she will spearhead a collaborative group focused on youth violence prevention through a lens of public health and equity. Dr. D guided us through the pandemic. We gained national recognition for our approach to protecting the lives of our residents during the defining public health crisis of our time. And she will lead us as we fight the scourge of youth violence, assembling a best-in-class team of public, private, academic, nonprofit, and community leaders to assist her in this mission. Every day, no matter where I go across this city, people stop me, yell at me, say to me, Mr. Mayor, we need more stuff for young people to do. Mr. Mayor, we need to fix up schools. Mr. Mayor, we need to open up more rec centers. Baltimore, I am proud to report that over the past 2.5 years in partnership with our school system, we've opened 7 new school buildings. And in the years ahead, Douglas, Poly Western, and City will receive a combined $400 million in renovations. We've also doubled our investment into the education of our young people. My fiscal 2024 budget calls for an investment of $393 million into our school system, the largest investment in the history of our city. The truth is that we've increased school funding by 49% over the past two years. And last year, many of you were there as we announced our $120 million vision for world-class recreation facilities across Baltimore, like this one. Together with Director Moore at the helm of Rec and Parks, we completed the new Drew Hill Park Pool, this beautiful state-of-the-art Middle Branch Fitness and Wellness Center, my childhood rec center at Tawanda, Cahill in West Baltimore, and the first phase of Boat Check in East Baltimore, Councilman Glover, and we've only just begun. We currently have 2 centers under renovation, J.D. Gross in Park Heights, Mary E. Rodman in Emerson Village, and Councilman Stokes. In a few months, we will begin renovations at the historic Chick Webb. Councilwoman McCray, a brand new Furley Rec Center is being built with the new Furley Elementary. And Councilman Torrance, we will be building a new Parkview Rec Center in West Baltimore. But we won't stop there. With Gardenville, Curtis Bay, and Boat Check's expansion going out to bid at the beginning of 2024, we're going to continue. We're also replacing 26 playgrounds, 11 basketball courts, and renovations are coming at Patterson Park and Ambrose Kennedy's pools. But we're not just building recreation centers in schools. We're also investing in our library system. We are building a new community library in Park Heights in honor of the late advocate and champion for Northwest Baltimore and my Merville Mustang brother, George Mitchell. This library will replace the one that was there and closed when I was a kid. And when ground is broken in the fall, it will be the first new library built in Baltimore in 15 years. This is how we set our young people up to win. We invest in their success, not in their failures. And like our rec centers, schools, and libraries, historical approaches to economic development have left black neighborhoods in East, West, and South Baltimore neglected and in disrepair. To move forward, retain legacy residents, and drive new growth and new investment, we have to look at growth from a lens of equity. Not just as a buzzword, Mr. President, but as a framework for real sustainable development. In the birthplace of redlining, redevelopment has to be a win for everyone. And this has to start with Baltimore's most pressing pressing housing issue: vacants. Vacants have been a massive burden on black and brown communities in Baltimore for as long as I can remember. But no administration has put together the levels of equitable investment and strategic coordination that we have managed to do over the past 2.5 years. When I took office, there were 15,821 vacant properties throughout Baltimore. Today, thanks to our strategic investments and the hard work of Acting City Solicitor Ebony Thompson and our Housing Commissioner Alice Kennedy, the number of vacants in Baltimore is down over 10% to 14,192, the lowest that it's been in Baltimore in over a decade. We did this by bringing resources to the table, marketing targeted block-level investments, and improving the processes involved with acquiring and redeveloping privately owned vacant properties. And just last year, we made the largest ever investment into equitable development, $100 million, towards addressing blight and moving projects in neighborhoods like Uplands, Park Heights, and Coldstream Homestead, Montebello. And Mr. President, we're also moving to drive black homeownership by launching our Middle Neighborhood Strategy. Through Housing, Live Baltimore, and the Department of Planning, we're investing $9.7 million towards grant programs to finance home repairs for legacy homeowners and create pathways to home ownership for families with school-aged children. This includes providing 270 grants through our Buy Back the Block initiative to help renters move towards home ownership. We're going to be offering $10,000 to buy or $20,000 to buy and renovate a home where they currently rent. Baltimore, our renaissance is at hand, but it cannot be a renaissance that displaces those who have been here through thick and thin. Not under my watch. Under the leadership of Dr. Deborah Brooks, our eviction prevention program has helped 19,000 Baltimoreans stay in their homes. And today, I'm proud to announce that we're investing an additional $5 million for rental assistance throughout Baltimore. And for the third year in a row, I'm proud to say that we're working with Councilwoman Ramos to cancel tax sale for owner-occupied properties. Like Congressman Mfume said, it's never too late to undo the wrongs of the past. We are strengthening our city, not just by investing in physical spaces, but by empowering the residents and businesses who call Baltimore home. As a son of a family who operates a small Baltimore business, I understand just how important it is to invest in our residents and small businesses and build the human capital necessary for long-term equitable growth. Last August, we launched our Baltimore Young Family Success Fund, a guaranteed income pilot program that provides young parents with an unconditional monthly payment of $1,000 to put towards the things that they need the most. Things like groceries, housing, and transportation. We also created Train Up and Hire Up, programs that provide residents with in-demand skills and connect job seekers with meaningful employment that pays at least $15 an hour. Baltimoreans like Teron Skinner, who's with us tonight, who through Hire Up found not just employment at the Mayor's Office of Employment Development, but he also found a renewed sense of purpose and direction after dealing with gun violence and incarceration. Let's give Teron a round of applause. And tonight, I'm proud to announce that we are reducing barriers to city government employment by removing outdated college degree requirements from many city government positions and making public service more attractive by implementing a $15 minimum wage across all city jobs. But nothing says building back the Baltimore way more than the investments we are seeing in the landmarks, businesses, and community organizations that truly make Baltimore special. Through our Office of Recovery Programs led by Shemai Kearney, we awarded $43 million to 45 nonprofit organizations doing the work in our communities to drive equity, support our families, and promote inclusive development. We awarded $1.6 million to Shalonda Stokes and the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore to continue to revitalize our historic retail core. A Downtown Partnership leveraged funding to support the Boost program to provide Black entrepreneurs and small business owners with retail space downtown. We also distributed upwards of $50 million to support more than 3,000 local businesses, 90% of them being Black or brown owned, to help them bounce back from the pandemic through BDC's BASE program. The newly renovated, world-famous Best Place to Get Fried Chicken Lexington Market is another example of how we are uplifting the best of Baltimore's small business community. More than 50% of the businesses in the market are minority or women-owned. And with the brand new CFG Bank Arena, we're bringing world-class entertainment for everyone right here to Charm City. From the CIAA tournament to Bruce Springsteen to Lizzo and, of course, Janet Jackson, the CFG has something for everyone. And the best part of the CFG Arena renovation is that it came at a price of free $99 to the taxpayers. We're also moving full steam ahead with plans to restore Harbor Place as part of our resurgent downtown core in partnership with West Baltimore's own David Bramble. With the reimagined Harbor Place, yes, residents and visitors will have a space where they can experience the best we have to offer. Thriving small businesses, world-class entertainment, green spaces, and cultural offerings. But this change isn't just happening downtown. When I took office, shortly thereafter, Councilman Burnett came to me and asked for me to help support to restore the Emerson Village Shopping Center to its former glory. And I'm excited to say today that we're now working with Lanier Richardson of Chicago Trend to renovate the Emerson Village Shopping Center and the Walbrook Junction Shopping Center, and have invested $9 million in those projects to bring businesses back to West Baltimore. To drive this success, we are formally bringing together some of the most dynamic and innovative leaders in our city's business community. The newly formed Baltimore Business Roundtable will promote shared prosperity, innovation, and economic growth in our city and serve as a team of my business advisors. Building on the groundwork laid by the Downtown Partnership and the Urban Land Institute, the Business Roundtable will help us chart a path forward for downtown's comeback. And we are making sure that everyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender identity, or zip code, has the opportunity to participate in our growing economy. No matter the neighborhood, whether over east or over west, all Baltimoreans want the same things. High-quality city services that they trust will be delivered on time, every time, and a city government that they can believe in. And that is what my administration is building. When I took office 2.5 years ago, there was no recycling, weekly or otherwise. There was no street sweeping, no graffiti removal. The pandemic upended the basic delivery of city services, but it did not stop our frontline workers from giving it their all every day. Employees like Mr. Tony Clark, who has proudly served at DPW for more than 20 years. I saw Mr. Tony while at Mercy Medical Center during the pandemic, and he said, "Mr. Mayor, we need to get our graffiti team back out cleaning the city." The following week, Mr. Tony and his 3 colleagues that make up our city's graffiti removal team were back on the street doing what they love, keeping Baltimore beautiful. I want to take a moment tonight to recognize Mr. Tony and thank the hardworking employees of Baltimore City government. These women These women and men kept our city going during some of our darkest days. While many of us were isolated at home or at City Hall, they put themselves and their families at risk. They picked up trash, provided emergency medical service, fought fires, and delivered essential city services to us all. But I want to be clear. We owe them our gratitude, not the disrespect that we show them sometimes. There has been a lot said about recycling pickup in Baltimore. But let me remind everyone, not only did I bring recycling back after the program had been paused, but I expanded the program from 41,000 households that were participating in 2009 to now more than 170,000 households having access to recycling. But I want to be clear that every resident, no matter their zip code, deserves access to services that have a positive impact on the environment. Baltimore, you have my word that we will return to weekly recycling by Q1 of 2024. We will use the next few months to ramp up our recruitment efforts for CDL drivers and laborers, leveraging $10,000 bonuses for new and existing CDL drivers, and we've also identified a vendor that will get us 30 new trucks by the end of the year. Equipped with new staff and new trucks, we will be able to right-size our routes, pick up recycling on a weekly basis, while maintaining our other core city services, including street sweeping and alley cleaning. And today I'm also announcing a $15 million investment into DPW to optimize bulk trash operations, implement modern routing software, upgrade residential drop-off centers, and enhance street and alley cleaning services. And we're not only focused on improving city services, we're making them more affordable for all. Through our Water for All program, we have distributed more than $2 million in discounts to over 6,600 city residents. More importantly, the days of 9% or more increases per year on water bills are a thing of the past. Now, yearly water bills will only increase about 3% per year, which is below inflation. And starting today, DPW is offering a one-time 5% water bill discount capped at $150 for residents to enroll in paperless billing through May 31st. If you're already enrolled, don't worry, you will automatically qualify, and you should see that one-time discount starting in July. We're also modernizing our payment process with the launch of our new online portal so that our residents can easily find and pay their bills, from property taxes to water bills, with the ability to finally schedule automatic payments. This work, Baltimore, is driven by you, our residents. A few months ago, more than 900 older adults joined my senior budget town hall and told me that they wanted to see more services for seniors. Well, to all the older adults watching, I heard you loud and clear. In collaboration with Vice President Middleton, Councilwoman Porter, and Councilman Cohen, I'm officially launching Baltimore's new Office of Advocacy and Planning for Older Adults. This office will focus on addressing the unique needs of older adults, including health care, housing, transportation, and of course, access to social services. Under my administration, we added an additional $9 million to bring us to $16 million total to support the housing upgrades to benefit seniors program. which is designed to keep older adults in their homes, allowing them to age in place with dignity. Older adults like Kevin Meeks from Forest Park, who leveraged hoods to have a new roof installed on his home, added insulation, and a more energy-efficient heating and air conditioning system. Baltimore, I am proud of the investments that we've made in our city government, but I know that we have much more work to do to get to the professional city government that our residents deserve. Leaders across Baltimore have answered the call to help make improvements in our government, from Brian Pinnick, Kevin Plank, Joe Jones, and John Brothers, who leaned into the Squeegee Collaborative, to Mike Hankin, who invested in our violence prevention efforts. Now, Beth Blower is answering the call in a big way. Beth, the current Associate Vice Provost for Public Sector Innovation at Johns Hopkins, is joining my administration on temporary assignment to help us better leverage data and performance to drive innovation and improvements to city service delivery. She will work in close partnership with our city administrator, Faith Leach, who you all know very well. Baltimore, we are all stakeholders in this work. And in the same way that I imagine a better future for our city when I was a young man and have dedicated my entire life in service to realizing that dream, our sons and daughters are dreaming too. As your mayor, and more importantly, as a fellow Baltimorean, it is not just my priority, but my obligation to ensure that we do everything in our power to position our residents for success and eliminate any barrier that stands in our way. What's clear is that Baltimore needs strong, dependable, and steady leadership that is committed to moving our city forward. Instability will only undo the progress that we've made together, that we are trying to do, to build the Baltimore we want to see today and for the generations to come. Baltimore, you have my word that we will continue to move forward in partnership and build on our wins to achieve our collective vision for Baltimore's future, because we deserve nothing less. We are so much stronger together than we are apart. As long as we stay focused and put people over politics, truth over disinformation, and work together like never before, I believe and I know that we will win. I want to thank each and every one of you, from Cross Keys to Highlandtown, from Oliver to Ashburton, for betting on Baltimore and believing that our city can win. Each of you represents the best of what Baltimore has to offer. Baltimore, God bless the greatest city in America. Thank you and good night.